Hey, why didn't you tell me it was World Islamophobia Awareness Day? Come on, I missed it. Damn it. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And like, oh, the crazy guy on the radio saying funny things. No, actually, we did miss that, and that's a real thing. This is UN Secretary General Guterres.
The world's 2 billion Muslims hail from all corners of the globe, reflecting the vast diversity of humanity itself. Yet, they often face institutional discrimination, socio-economic exclusion, biased immigration policies, and unwarranted surveillance and profiling. These worrying trends are fueled by anti-Muslim rhetoric and outright hate, which can lead to harassment and violence against individuals and places of worship. Governments must take concrete steps to address hate speech, protect religious freedom, and combat discrimination, including by ensuring full compliance.
I'll let him finish in a second. Yeah, because that's what we got to worry about. All the hate attacks against mosques. You know, there was the guy that did one of the 18 terror attacks we've had in the last few weeks, and it was being pointed out. I think it was the dude at Old Dominion that went and shot up that place, like the day before this message came out. And they're like, well, he's from Lebanon, and his family was killed in an Israeli airstrike. So what? And the implication is, well, you can't blame him. In fact, it's kind of our fault. You know, we put him in the, what would you do if someone killed your family? Hey, I remember after 9/11, there were 3,000 families that had a seat empty at Thanksgiving right after that. None of them went and attacked a mosque. Thank you very much. None of them went on a shooting spree. For the kids that got shot up in Austin in our own backyard just a couple weeks ago, are they allowed to go shoot up a mosque now? What a ridiculous thing to say. We don't have a problem with the outside world picking on the Muslims. We don't have a problem here in internecine within America of anti-Muslim hatred. There's no terror attacks that are happening by Christians against Muslims. There's no terror attacks where a Lutheran with a grudge is strapping on a vest and trying to blow people up in a bus or a pizza parlor. You don't see Hindus doing this. You don't see Buddhists doing this. You don't see Shinto doing this. You don't see people who believe in Santeria. People who sacrifice chickens are better behaved than this. So no, the UN Islamophobia warning, spare me. Sorry if I'm not on board. Sorry if I forgot to put up my decorations this year. But you have the one religion that anywhere it bumps into the outside world has conflict. Look at a map where the Muslim world is. Isn't it wherever that starts to overlap with the non-Muslim world, you have problems? Don't you have problems with terror attacks in Indonesia? Don't you have problems with terror attacks in the north part of sub-Saharan Africa? Don't you have problems with Boko Haram in Nigeria? Don't you have problems with the Muslims who took the Beslan elementary school in Russia? Yeah, look out, though. Let's not pick on Islam. Let's worry about Islamophobia. Is Islamophobia even a thing? Because the point keeps being made. It's not an irrational fear. If they keep telling you they want to kill you, they want you to submit or die, then isn't it a rational concern? It's not even a fear. It's not like we really think the Muslims could overtake us. And the fact that we could wipe them out at any second if we really wanted to, but choose not to, kind of puts us, on pretty solid moral ground when it comes to criticism here. No, we don't really hate them, or they would be dead. If we really had Islamophobia, they would be dead. But I'm reminded of the great Christopher Hitchens, who we lost 15 years ago now, who came out of England and was telling America, you need to resist Islam while you still can.
Give it up or give it to your deadliest enemy and pay for the rope that will choke you. This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen. I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender. very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them.
And so, is that what we're doing here? Are we holding the gates open? Because he was warning against this new term, Islamophobic, and it has spread, and he was right about that. And he warned that if you don't stop it now, you're not going to be able to protest against Islam in your own country for fear it's offensive. I just played for you last week the guy in England that had to take his English flag down in England because a bunch of people were protesting the bombing of Iran by America and Israel, and he was there to counter-protest. And he was told to take his flag down because it was offending the Muslims.
So this guy is getting told not to fly his flag in a public area when you've got the pro-Hamas flag being flown, we've got the Palestine flag, all the other fascist flags that they've got going, but he's being told to go away with his England flag. In England. I mean, come on. You can't make this up.
So let's go back to the UN Secretary General Guterres as you're getting lectured on Islamophobia Day.
International human rights law. Online platforms must work to wipe out hate speech and harassment against people based on their religion or belief. And all people need to speak out against bigotry, xenophobia and discrimination wherever they find it. That is why I appointed in May 2025 the High Representative for the Alliance of Civilizations as the UN Special Envoy to combat Islamophobia to enhance our collective response. On this International Day to combat Islamophobia, let's recommit to the equality, human rights and dignity of every person, no matter their faith.
Don't tell us that. No one's shooting up an Islamic school in America, but we have had a synagogue shot up just last week. We had our university shot up just last week. We had our entertainment district on 6th Street shot up just 2 weeks ago. We've had a couple of shootings at Christian schools. We've had a couple more shootings at churches. We've had the pro-Palestinian murder of two Jews in D.C., the blowtorch guy in Boulder, the couple of car ramming incidents with you guys. But it's never in the reverse. You're never seeing an upset Methodist get in his car and plow through a parade of Muslims. Why are we getting lectured? Why do we need to have a talk? Why do we need to have a day? Combat Islamophobia Day. When is Combat Christophobia Day? Is there even a day when you recognize the people who are actually on the receiving end of the terror attacks? What the heck is really going on? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, should Muslim schools in Texas be allowed to get the school vouchers? Because they're suing, and it's extending the deadline, and you'll get all the details next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. You've been hearing me talk about Rhino Shield for a while now, and I've kind of got your interest going, and you're looking at redoing your house, or maybe you're building a new house, and you're thinking, maybe I should try this Rhino Shield. If you want to see what it looks like, though, go follow them. They have a lot of good examples on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. They have 5-star reviews on... They have 5-star reviews on Google that you can go check out. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So you don't just have to trust the extremely handsome guy on the radio. You can go look for yourself. See the pictures. They got the flyovers. They do the drone shots. I'm telling you, it looks fantastic. So if you're worried about the cost, mention the James Show. You get 15% off. If you still need a little bit of a financial cushion after that, we can break it up into low monthly payments. So there's no excuse. Go check it out. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. First off, no, we should not be allowing public school vouchers to go to any school with terrorist ties. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. So the question comes up because school choice, the lame, weak sauce version that limped through the House of Representatives and the Senate, is finally coming to pass. And the deadline was supposed to be yesterday for you to apply for your school choice voucher. However, some of the Muslim schools in Texas shared notes, and they noticed that not one of them was approved to be on the receiving end of these school vouchers. And so they said, well, we got ourselves a discrimination lawsuit. They have sued the state of Texas, claiming religious discrimination. A judge has ordered the extension of the school choice deadline. WFAA has the report.
Should be closed, but it's not. What are we talking about? Families can still enroll in Texas's new school voucher program.
A deadline was pushed back a few weeks after a federal judge stepped in. Our Natalie Haddad is live for us in the newsroom this morning to kind of explain why it was extended. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning to you. Now, a federal judge extended the Texas school voucher deadline after lawsuits over the program excluding Islamic schools were filed. The deadline to apply for Texas Education Freedom Accounts, the state school voucher program, was originally March 16th. But on March 1st, 2 weeks prior, a Houston parent sued the state over the exclusion of Islamic schools. On March 11th, just a couple days ago, 3 more parents and 3 Islamic schools filed a similar lawsuit. And so just yesterday, a federal judge extended the application deadline to March 31st. A lot of back and forth there, but stay with me. The lawsuits claim state leaders discriminated against Islamic schools by excluding them from the voucher program. With this federal order, those schools now have a chance to apply to accept voucher program students. The state can still defend the program as is in court, but for now, families have 2 more weeks to apply. Dia?
Now, Natalie, this fight has been ongoing. Can you tell us what happens next?
Yes. So the families who filed the lawsuit face an uphill battle, most likely. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says the acting state comptroller who oversees the voucher program can exclude schools tied to foreign terrorist organizations, including the group CARE, which Governor Abbott accuses of being terrorist linked. Earlier this year, WFAA asked the acting comptroller directly about religious schools being left out of vouchers. And Dia, you spoke to him specifically, and I want to play what he said.
Are non-Christian schools being blocked from this program?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it was that quick. He said absolutely not, but that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So Islamic schools can now apply for voucher students, as we mentioned, but the state may still decide not to allow them to accept voucher students. So we'll just have to see how this plays out in the coming days, Matt.
All right, I would like to start with the ongoing caveat here in this discussion. I don't think we should have public schools, so I think there's a flaw in the voucher system to begin with. However, I do think the voucher system is better than not having any school choice whatsoever. However, this voucher system is so small, it's ridiculous. It's not even going to help much. It just brings up legit criticisms like this. Maybe there is religious discrimination going on. Who says that's bad? Who says that's bad if you're from the group, you're from the ideology that constantly is committing terror attacks, consistently committing terror attacks? At some point, aren't you a terrorist organization, a terrorist-linked organization? It's like, well, James, by that metric, pretty much every Muslim institution and maybe even mosque and school has some sort of ties or connection to terrorism. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be teaching them then. Maybe we shouldn't be giving them our money. Because I think the easy way for you to see is some people will say, well, you can't pick and choose. Either you give it to everybody or nobody. All right, what if it was a Nazi school? Should we give them vouchers? Well, of course not. Okay. So you're okay with denying people the school choice vouchers based on a hateful ideology. Me and you just classify a hateful ideology a little bit different, don't we? VJ in Salina. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yeah, hi. How are y'all doing?
Great.
So basically, when it comes to religion in schools, we're all being taught in school that, separate church from state, and it shouldn't matter which religion. Religion should not even be taught in schools. It should be freedom of religion. That's the First Amendment. So when it comes to this, it just feels like, the whole freedom of religion thing goes into effect both ways, not just one religion or the other. I just feel like, for them to do the whole Epic City thing is totally, not fair. and like to your point, it's just hypocritical. So school choice should be there, but being a Christian nation, I really feel like all religions should be respected, but at the same time respect what is dominant. That's basically what freedom of religion should be.
Okay, but do you have do you have a problem with the school vouchers going to Muslim schools?
Yes, I do.
What about going to Jewish schools?
No.
What about Christian
No
schools?
issues with that. No issues with that either.
What about Hindu schools?
No issues with that either.
What about atheist schools?
No issues with that.
So it really just sounds like you're segregating one religion out for discrimination where the other ones get a pass. Now, can you answer for that?
The reason has got to be the way that they've been not assimilating and not being able to help, assimilate, and that's because they spread hate.
Yeah, I would say all the terror attacks kind of play into that too. All the female genital mutilation and the beating your wife and the raping people and the sawing off heads and putting it online like it's something cool to be celebrated. And, throwing bombs in front of the New York City mayor's house a couple weeks ago, shooting up Austin on 6th Street just 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think we have a couple of good reasons to be skeptical of that in our society. Just, I'm glad you had the stones to say it in public.
Yeah, I do.
All right, well done.
Call it out the way it is. Thank you.
Appreciate it, VJ. And, I was making the case, if you heard earlier today, when I was on from 9 to 11, that Antifa now has multiple jurisdictions and cases, so it's not just a one-off, where they have been convicted of terror offenses. Nine people linked to Antifa just got the gavel swung on them last week here in Texas. That's a terrorist organization. Should that be funded in our schools? Should that be allowed in our schools? I think not. I think Texas is on the right path here. If you are supporting terrorism or if you have links to terror groups, you should not be getting a dime of taxpayer money. So if anybody out there saying anything nice about Antifa in their official curriculum, they should be run out of town. If you see a teacher with Antifa in her bios, like the girl in Fort Worth, you should raise a stink and she should be fired. She's a terrorist supporter. Any Antifa supporter now is terror adjacent. Oh, I like this. This is a good standard. We should just enforce it across the board and not just against the Muslims. How about all the other people that are doing terror attacks right now? How you like that? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you're going to see who they do think are terrorists. Of course, it's you. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Should Muslim schools get Texas school vouchers? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And the government says, the comptroller said that he turned them all down because they have connections to terrorist organizations, CARE, Muslim Brotherhood, things of that like. And it's interesting to see how the left is going to bat for these people. And they're constantly doing so. I mean, they were helping them hand out hijabs, headscarves, and Qurans in Wiley East High School just, a month ago? And this is one of the things that blows your mind about the just cognitive dissonance here. The people for women's rights and gay rights and the rights of minorities are on the same team as the people who oppress gays, oppress women, and oppress minorities. What is going on? Let me show you a good example. This is Caitlin Bennett. She went out, did a man on the street. She's at some, I don't know, kind of looks like a college campus, but some of these people look too old to be in college. And she's asking, what's more scary, MAGA or a Muslim terrorist?
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting "Allahu Akbar" running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
But you would get along with a radical Islamist?
Yes.
And you're gay?
Yes.
In solidarity with radical Islamists, would you look at the camera and say in solidarity, Allahu Akbar?
Allahu Akbar.
And would you say "Make America Great Again" in solidarity with the Trump supporters?
No.
What is a bigger threat to America today, radical Islam or Trump supporters?
Trump supporters. I'll say Trump.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Yeah.
I would say Trump supporters and MAGA.
I would have to go with the Trump supporters.
Trump supporters, MAGA.
Trump supporters and MAGA.
I'd say MAGA. But we should be able to allow people to be who they are.
Yeah. Even if they're a radical Islamist.
Yes. There's no right to judge them.
So if someone came running down the street, Allahu Akbar, or if there was someone on the opposite side saying, "Make America Great Again," got my red hat on, which side would you run to?
I don't know.
As Christians, and we're following Christ, do you think it's important to call out radical Islam?
No, because it's a freedom of religion.
Yeah, it's a freedom of religion.
How many terrorist attacks did Trump supporters engage in last week?
So many.
Just guess.
Thousands.
If you're a radical Islamist watching this right now, we pray for your conversion.
It's whatever they want to do, then do it. 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 Whatever they want to do, then do it.
That's not a skit, y'all. That's real. Keith in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, James. I just want to make a few comments. Freedom of religion does not exist in the United States. It was not made for every little religion out there. Patrick Henry said that our country is based on belief in Jesus Christ. And second off, just wait until they put up those loudspeakers for the Muslim call of prayer. And no one's going to vote against it because they don't want to be Islamophobia, whatever that means. And then third, separation of church and state does not exist in the Constitution or the Federalist Papers.
What was that last part? What doesn't exist?
Separation of church and state.
Oh, okay.
That's actually in the Russian Constitution. So these people who go to these government-funded schools think that we have separation of church and state, but there's not. So these people who went to these government-funded schools think Islamophobia is real and that all these people are just peaceful, which there's 93 verses in the Quran about killing non-Muslims. I don't remember one time when Jesus said we should kill non-Christians.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of times when God said, kill all the Canaanites, kill all their women and children, even their goats and sheep and whatnot. But, Keith, we do have freedom of religion, but religion doesn't cloak you with immunity if you're also part of a terrorist group. So if you're part of a group that's continually committing terror attacks, you don't get to say, well, that's my religion, and you get away with it. So this isn't picking on Muslims. This isn't picking on Islam. I mean, no one wants to do something about Dave Chappelle. He's a Muslim, right? Ice Cube's a Muslim. No one's trying to kick him out. Casey Kasem was a Muslim your entire life. He's not bothering anybody. We're talking about the ones who aren't assimilating. We're talking about the ones who still make their wives and daughters cover up, the ones who follow Sharia law. And the reason why that's a problem, the reason why Epic City is a problem is because, if you reverse the races, it would be quite obvious what's happening here. This is exactly what we did to the Native Americans. We came here in massive numbers, more than they could take. We did not assimilate. We did not adopt the new religion. We brought our old religion from the old world with us. We set up little enclaves and little communities where we continued our own culture, and then it just spread from there. We're being colonized is what this is. This isn't a freedom of religion issue. Freedom of religion doesn't mean another culture and another group of people gets to come in and colonize us right in front of our face, and we can't say anything about it. And Keith, I mean, I think that our two ideas kind of square with each other. I just don't like the way you said the Constitution doesn't give you a freedom of religion. I mean, it does. I just had to add my own but to that.
Well, with all the Muslims with the schools, just remember this: 9/11.
Sure.
Just those guys. Everyone thought they were great Americans, or their neighbors said, "Oh, they were great people," and then look what happened.
Well, 9/11, nothing. We don't have to go back that far. We could just go to the Michigan synagogue from last week. We go to Old Dominion from last week. There was another Muslim that tried to get into an elementary school in Houston on the same day last week, and he was stopped. Was there potentially a bunch of Texas children that were about to be slaughtered by another angry Muslim last week? I mean, that's a solid maybe. There were the two IEDs inspired by ISIS, the Muslims at the New York City mayor's house. The one that just shot up 6th Street. We don't even have to go back a month before you find enough reason to be questionable bringing more of these people in. 800-288-9227. Should Texas school choice vouchers be allowed in Muslim schools? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Man, it's funny how sound bites can generate emails. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Because on the breaks, sometimes I go check my email. Hey, I wonder what people thought of that. And, some people who are listening at work can easily just open a window, type some thoughts, send it, and get back to whatever they're doing. And, I'm already getting reaction to this Caitlin Bennett man on the street interview where she asked people, who are you more scared of, Muslims or MAGA?
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting "Allahu Akbar" running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
It's mind-blowing stuff. I'm not going to play the whole thing again. Mind-blowing stuff. I know. That's what I'm saying. Even Garrett's like throwing his hat in there. Yeah, I don't trust MAGA. I trust the radical Islam. Why? Because I'm gay? Has one person in a MAGA hat ever chunked one of your gay friends off a building? Oh, my God. Has there ever been a terror attack in the history of mankind going all the way back to the Tyrannosaurus Rex where someone said, "Make America great again"? Has anybody ever even committed a crime? Has anybody ever been open hand slapped in the face by someone saying, "Make America great again"? Has anybody even had their feelings hurt? Well, that's a maybe. This is Paul in Hext. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, I wanted to make a comment on the whole discussion of the school voucher thing. I think school vouchers is such a good program for giving parents choice that if we start picking winners and losers based on belief group, as much as we hate to see Muslims, madrasas or whatever getting monies, if they jump through all the proper hoops, we got to give it to them because we don't want to jeopardize the whole program through, court action by having it be declared discriminatory.
Yeah, I hear you. But this version of school choice is only 1% of school-age children actually qualify for this. So we don't even really have school choice. What we do have is enough of a school choice to trigger lawsuits. So we just have the worst of both worlds. We have the lawsuits, and we don't really. 99% of us don't have access to school choice. So yeah, this is just terrible. And this is one of the things that we griped about when it was passed last year. Like, if you're going to do this, all you're going to do is get all the lawsuits, and we're not actually going to get school choice. But here's the dirty little secret, Paul. Whether it's Team Red or Team Blue, neither one of them want to get rid of the public school system. And it's kind of a combination of they like the results of it, and the other combo is it is a well of power that these people have. You know how they can come out of a meeting in Austin and they can buy or sell stocks based on who's about to get the new textbook approved. That's a power we're asking them to give up, and they don't give it up without us getting really upset. And we're just not upset enough, and we should be, Paul.
I don't disagree with you at all, but it's 1% of good is still better than 0% of good. I guess how this is
agreed. I agree. But I think 100% of
how a lot of social progress happens is it's baby steps. It's boiling the frog, so to speak.
Well, here's what I know, and you probably think as well, is if we did open this up and made it 100% school choice, public schools would collapse within 5 years, and we would only have private schools, which is what I want anyway. It's just like I know that we don't have to eliminate Social Security. If we just made it optional, no one would volunteer to be in that terrible program unless you're already retired, and that would collapse on its own. If we just took away the coercion, the whole thing would collapse, and I think that speaks volumes about how failed public schools are, Paul.
Well, I think we agree.
Good deal. All right, I'm going to go to Tim and Wiley then. Hey, Tim and Wiley, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yes, sir. Talking about the school voucher program.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe Islam calls for the killing of non-believers. Is that correct?
Convert, kill, enslave, or rape. Those are your options.
Yes. Well, most religions don't call for killing anyone, I believe. I would dare say that Muslims or Islamists are that's a cult. I don't know if that's really a religion. Maybe on their definition it is.
Well, no. Look, it's not a cult any more than any religion's a cult. It's the problem is it's a terrorist organization. It's both. It can be both. It can be a religion and a terrorist organization. But if one religion is committing terror acts anywhere they're bumping into the outside world, there's not something wrong with all the other religions. There's just something wrong with one of them, and it's this one.
No.
And that's
agree,
okay. That doesn't make
but,
everyone who's a Muslim bad. That doesn't make me hate them or have Islamophobia. But I can go through the list again. You know, we would be questioning it if a Baptist had shot up a Michigan synagogue, Old Dominion University, and carried a gun into a Houston elementary school on the same day, wouldn't we? If it was all from the same denomination, if there had been a Baptist who went through Austin and on 6th Street and murdered 3 of our neighbors and injured a dozen more, wouldn't we have some questions? If someone, the example I like to use is like if someone was yelling "Roll Tide" when they threw the 2 IEDs at the Jake Lang protests in New York City at the mayor's house, we'd be asking some questions about Alabama fans. If they were yelling "Roll Tide" on Bondi Beach, Australia, a couple months ago when there was the mass massacre of Jews on Hanukkah, we would say, well, maybe we need to look into this whole Alabama thing. You know, maybe the Crimson Tide needs a second look, or at least question or some skepticism. They would probably be a terrorist organization by now.
Well, I agree with that, but I haven't heard of any Baptist or Roll Tide killings lately.
You've never heard of one ever in the history of humanity. Just to kind of clear that one up. All right. Yep. Thank you very much. That's Tim and Wiley. It really is that bad. There hasn't been. I mean, seriously, I love the example of you can bring up what just happened here in our own backyard. Of all those families who just lost someone on 6th Street in Austin, have any of them retaliated by shooting up a mosque? Have they attacked Muslims in any way? Have they made IEDs and thrown it at Muslims? Have they gotten their car and ran it through Muslims during a Muslim holiday? Clearly, one of these kids is doing his own thing. Clearly, one religion is a little more violent than the rest. And clearly, we shouldn't be importing people who are going to maintain that culture. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Am I still going to have a job tomorrow? Am I okay? Join the SPCA of Texas and 570 KLIF and have a tail wagging good time at the 21st annual Stretch Your Mutts. It's the walk to end animal cruelty, March 28th, Fair Park in Dallas. And you can register at gostrut.org. If you want a chance to win a race entry from us, text MUTT to 800-288-9227, MUTT to 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. You're being invaded. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And when it comes to letting Muslim schools have school vouchers in Texas, I always have to start this conversation with the caveat that I'm in the rare part of the Venn diagram where I don't like public schools. And I don't mean like they disappoint me. We shouldn't have public schools. I think we should go a 100% private route. And this is one of the many issues where I feel like both the Republicans and Democrats do not represent me at all, not even close. And so when it comes to school vouchers, this is something I'll accept as the lesser of two evils. Having school vouchers along with public and private schools is better than not having school vouchers, I suppose. It's not my preference. But one of the shortcomings with school vouchers is this issue that's brought up by the Muslim schools. None of them got approved to receive school vouchers. None of them. And so they've gotten together. They have sued. Now, the school voucher deadline has been extended by some federal judge for a couple weeks because it looks like religious discrimination when they're all denied and they're all Muslim. And so, look, now we have to have this argument here. The Texas State Comptroller says these schools weren't denied because they were Muslim. They were denied because they have connections to groups who support terrorism, CARE, Muslim Brotherhood, and the like. So now we either have to say, all right, well, even if they have an ideology that seeks to destroy America, undermine Western civilization, change our morals and values, we got to be fair. Or we have to say this is an ideology that should not be supported with taxpayer dollars, not just because we don't like them or they're not our preferred religion, it's because they're antithetical to Western civilization. And they keep blowing stuff up and shooting people. Because the question now boils down to how many terror attacks does this group have to commit before it's considered a terrorist organization? Same thing with Antifa. How many terror attacks do they get to commit before they're considered a terrorist organization? Patty, Whitney, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Well, thank you very much. What I wanted to say was it doesn't matter what the name of your school is or anything like that. You teach the Texas curriculum. And I doubt very seriously that there's a chapter on how to assemble a bomb and go blow people up. Another thing I wanted to say was that my granddaughter, she's going to be a teacher in like 2 years. I really, really doubt that a Muslim school is going to hire her to be there. And that's discrimination against all the kids that want to be teachers in the future. And the third thing I wanted to say is that girl that was talking to that other girl earlier, and she was saying that she would rather be with Islam instead of the MAGA because she is a lesbian. Well, how long do you think she's going to be in a Muslim or a Islamic organization with her being a lesbian because they kill them? I mean, that just shows you how ignorant all of these college kids are. I assume she was a college kid.
All right, Patty, your phone broke up when you were making your first point. Now I really want to hear it because your second 2 points were good.
I was just saying that it doesn't matter what your school, what the sign on your school is. In Texas, they have to teach the Texas curriculum.
Wow.
And I don't think that there's a chapter on how to make bombs.
Right. Well, look, they have to teach the Texas curriculum, sort of. I mean, they have to teach the Texas curriculum, but they can also teach extra things on top of that, like Bible classes and going to chapel and, holy days and things like that. So they could still squeeze the bomb making in there. And for the audio that Patty referenced from Whitney, this is Caitlin Bennett doing a man on the street.
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting "Allahu Akbar" running down the breezeway here, who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
But you would get along with a radical Islamist?
Yes.
And you're gay?
Yes.
So that's what Patty was referencing. Thanks for calling in down in Whitney, Patty.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bobby Brownwood, you're next up on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yes, sir. Hello. I haven't done my homework on this, but from what I know about Mecca and Medina, the fact that Christians can't go there,
right,
I would venture to say that the Muslim schools are not going to let Christians, LGBT, and a number of people, because of discrimination, into those schools. I wouldn't be surprised to find that also, and that would be a very good reason not to have them in the school voucher program.
You know, I'm kind of split on that. I think they should have the right to do that if they want. They shouldn't get our tax money though. But I also feel that way about Catholic schools and really every school. So I mean, I don't really treat the Muslims that differently. If I get my preferred way of the educational system, that would be 100% private.
But a Christian can go to a Catholic school and vice versa.
Well, Catholics are Christian.
I mean, a Baptist or whatever type school it is.
Oh, you mean a non-Catholic can go to a Catholic school? Yeah, and atheists can go to Catholic schools, and gay kids can go to Catholic schools, and you know, in New Orleans, their educational system is far collapsed, even beyond what we see here. And everybody goes to private school. Even poor people scrape up what little money they have to send their kid to private school. They have more kids in private school than public school by far. And so Catholic school is nothing but a label down there. And they take in everybody from every religion and every race and every denomination and every orientation. So, you know,
I doubt the Epic Academy will.
I wonder if it will. You know, who would bust their kid there in the first place if you're not already a Muslim? But we
need to get Mr. Shirley on that.
Yeah, right. Well, I like the question you're bringing up, because now the freedom of religion thing gets thrown right back at them. And if, you know, how come we have to be this tolerant, and they don't have to be that tolerant? And I still don't like that, because why do we have to be the tolerant ones? They're the ones blowing stuff up. We're not going in and shooting up mosques. They shot up a synagogue and a church in the last just few weeks. They shoot us up when we're hanging out on 6th Street. They shoot us up when we have a cartoon contest. We're not throwing bombs at them in their protests like they did it to us. So it feels weird that we even have to have this both sides discussion, because one side's not violent.
Sure. And we can't go to Mecca and Medina, but they can come anywhere to any of our religious sites they wish.
Look, I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this gladly, and I don't think this is funny, but probably before the end of the lifetime of our children, that's going to be dealt with. And I mean, like, if this ever pops off, the actual civilizational battle between Muslims and Christians, those places are going to get bombed.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you ever think about that, y'all? You ever think about what happens when it really pops off? What if there really is a bunch of sleeper cells and we go past some point of no return, and then there's terror attacks that happen on a regular basis, and we get ticked and we actually start fighting this for real? Do y'all even think of what that looks like? We all like to joke, well, we could just turn the whole place into a sheet of glass. Yeah, we could. You may not want to think about that so lightly. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on this exact same subject, you're going to hear CNN defending the Muslim terrorists, saying it's not all of them. And they just said it this week. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, sports fans, James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Now, if you follow your team, if you're a good, loyal fan, I don't care if it's for the Mavericks or the Stars, or if you're a transplant and you like to keep up with your hometown team, Prize Picks has you covered, and you can take that advanced knowledge that you have of your team, take your fandom, and make it pay off for you. Download Prize Picks, and you make a lineup of 2 to 6 players. You go through, you look at stats, you pick more or less on one of those. Boom, that's one square. You make a lineup of 2 to 6 players. You can win up to 2,000 times your money with Prize Picks. And they do all kinds of promos. They have a max discount square for some of your best players where you only need like 0.5 points and you can pick more on that. You can mix and match sports. You can follow other players. You can copy off other people's picks that they share on social media. You can stack the same player 3 times in the same lineup. You can get early payouts. So download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, and take advantage of $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They really crank through the story count, and they show you a lot that you won't hear in the rest of the mainstream media. So as the Texas school voucher, the school choice deadline got extended by a federal judge because there's a lawsuit from the Muslim schools that say, hey, that's not fair. We didn't get approved for any of them. Well, maybe you should stop shooting us for 5 seconds. If you want to get more favorable treatment, if you're concerned about Islamophobia, maybe stop blowing stuff up, catching things on fire, burning Jews alive in Boulder, Colorado, or shooting them when they come out of a museum in D.C., or shooting us on 6th Street, or trying to shoot us in our elementary school in Houston, or, Old Dominion University. Maybe just tap the brakes on the mass murder for a second if you're concerned about the mistreatment of your Muslim brothers and sisters. And here we are. Let's just go back a couple days ago. Abby Phillips defending Muslims after the terror attack. Like, it's not all Muslims here. Come on now.
I can't speak for Mike Johnson, but I would say we've had 2 terrorist attacks here in the last 10 days.
What does that have to do with Muslims?
So can we condemn those? Why are we?
Of course. What does that have to do with Muslims?
What does that have to do with Muslims?
There is a radical strain of Islam that's led to these terrorist attacks. Obviously, the vast majority of Muslims are
people
peaceful.
with terroristic ideologies here and all around the world. What does that have to do with whether Muslims belong in American society as a group?
Yeah, look out for the Buddhist terror attack. Yeah, look out for the Presbyterian terror attack. No, there's not a problem all over the world with all peoples doing terror attacks. Good Lord, what does that have to do with Muslims? Well, because they did it. And they didn't just happenstance be Muslim. Their Islamic faith was the motivating factor in the terror attack. It was the reason they were doing the terror attack. It's like you have a Christian plumber. He didn't fix your toilet because he's a Christian. He's just a plumber who happens to be a Christian. However, these terrorists are doing this. They threw the bombs because of Islam. That was their reason for doing it. What does that have to do with the terror attacks? Everything. Kevin Keller, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Okay, how you doing, man? Hey, I've got 2 things real quick. One is that whole stereotypical thing is that we have a homeowner's warning. I called out, someone to come out and fix. I couldn't understand their language. They sent me to someone named Muhammad something, and my wife refused to let them come to our house, and so we canceled. But the second thing, I've been reading Senator John Kennedy's How to Test Negative for Stupid, and he's got a whole section in his book about education in this country. And
hang on a second. Senator Kennedy has a book called How to Test Negative for Stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed until just now. That's hilarious. Okay, go ahead.
It's a great book. Hey, it's a great book. You should read it. He's got a lot of humor, But anyway, I mean, it shows his history. But he's got a whole section, which I read this morning, about education, primarily Louisiana, but how it's affected federally. And it's how screwed up our system is. And so just listening to the show today on the way home, I'm going, this just takes another step. Our system's screwed up. Our educational system is so backwards, and we've got to fix it. But anyway, that's it. That's all I had to say is that.
Can I correct one thing? Can I tweak one little word, but it makes all the difference in the world? Our educational system is screwed up. It's beyond fixing, though. We don't need to fix it. We need to end it. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, we need to change it. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. There doesn't need to be a system. We don't need the Department of Education in D.C. We don't even need it in Austin. We don't need it even at the district level. We need to go back to 100% privatized schools, and that will fix so many of the problems that we're complaining about now. If we have 100% privatized schools, do I care what a Muslim school is teaching? Do I care where their money is coming from? It's not coming from me. So then it really does become none of my business. And whether I like what they're teaching or not, I can just go ahead and shut up. But since that is some of my money, I'm allowed to have an opinion, and I'm going to voice it, and I'm going to try and steer it away from the people who are trying to kill me.
Excellent point. I stand corrected. You're right.
Oh, you're so nice. Right. It's so hard to get people to say that. But thank you. That's Kevin and Keller. Let's see if we can do another good one here. This is Jay and Irving on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Well, not only should Muslims not be given these vouchers or any of our money, they should not be allowed into the country. They can't even live together with each other without killing each other. They're not going to live together with atheists, infidels, and Christians. And we're going to find them in the streets if we don't get them out of here.
Well, I mean, some of them, the ones that aren't assimilating, that applies to. But I've met a lot of Muslims who come here and they don't wear headscarves anymore, and they'll eat bacon and they'll wear gold, which I didn't know until I had Muslim friends. They're not supposed to wear gold. Did you know they're not supposed to wear gold?
Yeah, but the problem is when the radical Muslims get superior numbers and start attacking, the moderates go along with the radical Muslims. They may not get violent, but they support them with voting and in every other way, and it will be the end of the USA. I know about the Muslims.
Yeah, so
I've read the Quran.
So
I've read the Quran.
Right, I'm with you. I'm with you. However, if there's like like geniuses, like the one out of a million, like the Elon Musk of the Muslim world, and they want to come over here and be a doctor or some other useful engineer or some way help our country more than they hurt it. I think we have to let some of them in, but we are letting in way too many. And these people that are clogging up the Costco and Frisco, they're not all the geniuses here doing engineering feats that we can't do on our own. Clearly, the system's being abused.
Are you still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm sorry. I just talk a lot.
It only takes one with a bomb strapped to them to walk into your child's school or the mall where you and your wife and your children are shopping, and it only takes one of them to blow you away.
Right.
And that's who they are. They all have to go. If you can't understand that, that's
well, like what about Dave Chappelle? Does he need to go? He's a Muslim.
I didn't know Chappelle was a Muslim.
What about Casey Kasem when we were growing up? Casey's top 40. Does he need to go, or was he a positive contribution?
I think all of them need to go because it only takes one to get radicalized.
I disagree on all of them, but I think a good test, and I know this sounds flippant, but just hold up a piece of bacon, be like, eat this. And if they're willing, I don't know. It sounds stupid. I don't have the answers for it, but yeah. And I can't tell Jay and Irving he's wrong. He's right. It does just take one to blow up a school. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Chris Cuomo got drug on his show for trying to make some false equivalency between left and right violence, politically speaking. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I love bringing you audio of people getting destroyed on their own show. Now, I say destroyed. He's not really getting destroyed. You remember Chris Cuomo? Yeah, the Cuomo brother who wasn't mayor or governor. He was on CNN, and he pretended to have COVID and quarantine for a couple weeks. Remember all that? Now, I think he's on Newsmax or something. But he was doing this real annoying thing that's the both sides argument. And it's kind of frustrating because you're trying to have a serious conversation and somehow they're not allowed to think that any group of people is better or worse than the other. It's the old Evans State unified field theory of liberalism where, well, you can bring up all the Muslim terror attacks, but, you know, it's pretty bad on both sides. Well, no, it's not. Well, you can bring up the violence that happens at left-wing protests, but, you know, the right wing has its own problems too. No, that's not true at all. So here is Chris Cuomo. Some guy called in. His name's John. This is all I know about him. But he did not let him get away with that. And he used his own personal experience in dealing with these people.
John, what's your question?
Chris, I just had a follow-up to last night. You seemed miffed by one of your guests saying that Biden arced up the temperature, and I agree with you that he personally didn't do it, but I was a police officer for 26 years, and I've never seen violence in any right-wing protest as bad as I've seen in the left. And all the way up to George Floyd, it's been horrible. Like when you hear that, let's say the Proud Boys are coming to town. We're like, oh, okay, we got to walk for a long time. You hear J Block or Antifa's coming, and you know you're in for it. And I've never seen violence and things done to police officers as nasty and as vile as from the left.
I don't disagree with what you're saying because you lived it, not me. And I've certainly seen horrible things in protests that I've been standing in and covering. I'm not disputing that. But again, my problem wasn't with that. It was just leaving out the other half. How can you leave out MAGA and the demagoguery of what this president has been about in a conversation about how things have gotten to where they are? I mean, to me, it's like that's like cognitive dissonance.
These statements, there's no doubt about it, but it doesn't seem to enrage people the way it does on the left. So whatever Trump's doing, it really agitates the people on the left, but it doesn't agitate the people in the middle or the far right enough to do what the left is doing. And I think that's where the disconnect is in the way people are thinking. Maybe. You're looking at one side and saying, yeah, and some of the things he says I don't agree with and they're cringy, but it doesn't cause people to come to the streets.
And so we have the same disconnect happens with Antifa. You know, Antifa is like, hey, we're fighting the fascists. You're the ones committing all the violence. The people you're fighting against, Antifa, aren't the ones that are shooting up ICE facilities or attacking law enforcement officers or firebombing Tesla dealerships or, you know, just looting a Foot Locker. Same thing with BLM. Black Lives Matter. Who are you fighting against? Is anyone saying Black Lives don't matter? Like when the NFL puts end racism in the end zone. Who's the pro-racism crowd you're pushing back against? Is there anybody who disagrees with that? Is there anybody who's like, hey, we need more racism? Like, I'm not trying to be like a jokester here, but does anybody believe that? I mean, anybody believe that? And so that sort of dovetails with a couple other sound bites. If you're just joining us, I'll play a short version of this. Caitlin Bennett did a man on the street asking what's who do you align more with, Muslim terrorists or MAGA?
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting "Allahu Akbar" running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
Yeah, we'll just leave it right there. Yes, I'm playing that again. Every time I play it, I get messages. People are like, where did you find that? Who is that? Who is she talking to? I don't know who she's talking to. I know who she is, Caitlin Bennett, the one holding the microphone. But I don't know where these people come from. You know, in fact, I'll play this one again for you, Garrett. Abby Phillips defending Muslims after multiple terror attacks. We've had 5 in the last 2 weeks.
I can't speak for Mike Johnson, but I would say we've had 2 terrorist attacks here in the last 10 days.
What does that have to do with Muslims?
So can we condemn those? Why are we?
Of course. What does that have to do with Muslims?
What does that have to do with Muslims?
There is a radical strain of Islam that's led to these terrorist attacks.
There are
Obviously, the vast majority of Muslims are
people
peaceful.
with terroristic ideologies here and all around the world. What does that have to do with whether Muslims belong in American society as a group?
All right, now let's let this lead into the next topic of discussion here. You know, people that come here and don't assimilate, one of the problems that we have with it isn't the fact that, the schooling or the healthcare, the headscarves or whatever. It's all the fraud that's happening. Nick Shirley, the 23-year-old who went and uncovered the Minnesota Leering Center, was on Hannity last night showing you some of the even bigger fraud he found in California.
Yeah, so obviously their daycare system as well. There's just tons of fraud. These daycares have multiple violations, yet they continue to receive money through a program called CalWorks. And then let's talk about the hospice fraud, where you have 1,000% increase in hospices inside of just the LA area alone. $1 in $10 for home health care in America goes to the LA area. These fraudsters are driving around not just $100,000 cars, but literally $200,000 Maybachs. And they're just defrauding the American taxpayer like no other place I've ever seen. And they have no remorse for it. They drive around all these nice cars, wear designer clothing, you name it. And they're inside of these old motel looking like businesses, defrauding the taxpayer of quite literally millions and billions of dollars.
So Nick Shirley put his full 40-minute video on X. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a big chunk of it because it's the exact same model he used in Minneapolis. He went through, found people that were getting money from you, taken from you by force, given to these people, and it's obvious fraud. Like, it's not even close. It's like, well, there's 49 hospice companies in this one room, and the room's empty. It has like an empty folder on the floor and one standalone chair. If you see this and you don't think there's fraud, you're just brain damaged. But the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, the front runner for president for the Democrats in 2028, his response to Nick Shirley was to make fun of him. There's a meme with the guy who has a bunch of cameras all over him. He's like, "Can I see your children?" Sort of implying that he's a pedophile or he's some sort of kitty diddler, which, bro, that is not a real response. That is a comical response to a serious issue. Shirley responded to that.
Newsom's office tried to mock you. They posted a photo of a man carrying several cameras at a daycare center, and you're investigating whether or not there's fraud in daycare centers and hospice. And then they said, asking a teacher, "Hey, can I see your kids?" You did not hold back in your response. I'll let you paraphrase your response. What did you say to Gavin?
Yeah, I don't know why they're trying to make me and paint me out to look like a legit pedophile. That's what they're trying to do. And what they're trying to do is then create a small group of their base to then hate Nick Shirley, which then justifies them to go and attack Nick Shirley and do something to Nick Shirley. When in reality, I'm working for both Republicans and Democrats, just exposing the fraud.
Yeah, you would think that's non-controversial. Exposing fraud is now political gamesmanship. Good Lord. All right, coming up next on The James Show, the fraud that's happening in our own backyard is continuing. They're looking at a new place for City Hall. I'll expose the grift coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, the Dallas City Hall scam keeps moving right along. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. This is a continuing storyline on the James Show that if I sound frustrated by it, it's because I am. It's because it's something that's so obviously a terrible idea. And I'm surprised everybody's not singing from the same sheet of music going, hey, there's something not right about this. Hey, there's some obvious holes in the story that we're being told. And here we are again. This is the update from WFAA here. They're looking for new places for City Hall.
Dallas leaders are considering the Epic in Deep Ellum as a replacement for City Hall. Our partners at the Dallas Business Journal report that city leaders have toured the location near I-45 and Gaston Avenue a few times.
A few times.
This is one of more than a dozen sites under consideration.
There's a dozen sites under consideration. They've toured it a few times. We haven't even agreed to tear down the old one. We haven't even agreed that we need to tear down the old one. These guys, they already have a plan. There's already a plan. They're not telling us. They're hiding it from us. They're pretending like, well, we're just doing what the report tells us. There's obvious conflicts of interest because the people who did the report could stand to benefit from this new plan going forward. That hasn't been resolved. It seems like half of the council is in on the plan. The other half has no idea what's going on, and they're not in the loop. More so, they won't come on the show. I don't know what's going on with that. Have you ever known a politician who won't go on a friendly show? That's weird. But they had another tour last week looking for another City Hall.
We now know at least one location officials are considering to replace Dallas City Hall. According to our partners at the Dallas Business Journal, officials have toured Bryan Tower, a 40-story skyscraper about a mile from the current location. The current building's future is still unclear. After last week's contentious meeting, the City Council directed a financial committee to explore other options.
Bryan Tower is even older than City Hall. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. You can tell when you're being lied to. You don't have to know what the truth is. You don't have to know what the scam is. You don't have to know what the magician did under the table. But you know there's a scam going on. Just like I don't know that the election in 2020 was stolen. I just know through all of American history and since then, no election has stopped counting on election night. And jeepers, we can't give you an answer for a few days. And then while they're like, jeepers, we can't give you an answer, all of a sudden all these ballots show up. And all of the states that stopped counting flipped. The odds of that just being a happenstance, a coin flip, is more than 1 in 2 million. So I don't know how they did it or what they did or the ins and outs. I don't even have to prove it. But you know there's something untoward going on with both the 2020 election and City Hall, just based on logic, just based on observing what they are admitting to your face. Because if you didn't know, if they're not telling you, I'll tell you. In 2018, they commissioned a big study. It took them 2 years. A report was released in 2020 that said City Hall needed $39 million worth of repairs to be up to snuff. They've actually completed about half of that since then. And this new report saying it's going to cost $1 billion in order to maintain City Hall. This is a new fabrication that seemed to be born to justify a process that was already in the works. This is not identifying a problem. This is inventing a problem. So they have an excuse to demolish City Hall and hand it over to some developer, probably for a stadium, is what the scuttlebutt is saying. But it just keeps scooting along. Why have y'all looked at this place several times? Why do y'all have a list of 12 that you narrowed it down to? We haven't even agreed to tear down the old one. They're acting like it's a done deal. Why? Because they know it's a done deal. And this skit, this AI bit that Dallas and Fuego made of city manager Kim Tolbert, now this isn't her actual voice. Dallas and Fuego did an AI parody of her. But this is only hilarious because it's so true. Again, she didn't really say this, but there's a video, an AI video that looks like she says it. It has the watermark on it and whatnot. But listen to this because it's pretty damn true.
Howdy, Dallas. I'm DeQuina Dallas, Kimberly Beiser Tolbert. There's been a lot of speculation around this rushed process to sell City Hall, and I'm here to set the record straight. Last September, I was approached by some Dallas bigwigs who own and develop the property around City Hall, who were interested in building a new arena for the Mavericks. I thought this would be a great opportunity to revitalize downtown Dallas and to make myself look really good. So I worked behind the scenes with a certain council member who is really cozy with these developers to get the ball rolling and push this onto the council agenda. I also made sure to secure a majority of other council members who have previously been useful in pushing my agendas to vote in favor of this effort. Together, we directed our friends at AECOM and CBRE to produce an assessment of City Hall that would cost so much money, the thought of staying in the building would be untenable. I grossly miscalculated that the public would actually pay attention to this and start calling me out on my bull, but I'm not about to let a little public opinion get in the way. We kept pushing the narrative on behalf of the developers that City Hall is an old and dangerous place to work and that the only solution is to vacate the building as soon as possible. No, we haven't been totally transparent in this process. You see, downtown Dallas stakeholders don't want the Mavs to leave downtown Dallas for obvious reasons. And since they're more important than anything Dallas residents say, we have to keep them happy. So we have to keep up the ruse that repairing the building is financially untenable. Once we're out of the building, we will make a deal to sell the land to one of these developers. Granted, the city has a horrible track record when it comes to buying and selling real estate. So we will most definitely make a bad deal and cost the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. When all is said and done, the Mavs will get their offer to build their new arena downtown, and it'll be a take it or leave it proposition. Valley View in North Dallas might make more sense for the Mavs, but frankly, I don't give a shit. You want to play ball with Dallas? You got to take what you're given. Don't like it? Go to Frisco, go to Irving, go to Las Vegas for all I care. I'm DeQueen, and what I say goes. Oh, and for those of you who keep showing up to speak at City Hall, stop wasting your time. I've had this deal in the bag from the beginning, and there ain't a darn thing you can do about it.
All right, now that's good because it's 100% true. He didn't even have to add punchlines. He just had to tell the story. Coming up next, you're going to hear a very saucy Rand Paul give Markwayne Mullins the business in his Senate confirmation hearing on being the new Homeland Security Secretary. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, who wants to hear some steamy audio from a congressional hearing or a Senate hearing, actually? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I try and tailor the headlines and the content of this show to stuff that affects you the most. I'm going to fail you on this one because this doesn't affect you at all. It's just a delicious piece of audio here. The new nominee to be the Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. It's a cabinet official, so it has to go through the Senate, get Senate approval. And during the hearings, Rand Paul has an ongoing beef with this guy, Markwayne Mullins, which I'm always suspicious of people who have two first names, male or female. Like if your name's Mary Ann instead of just Mary, or if your name's Mark Wayne instead of just Mark. I'm kidding. There's no problem with that. It's just funny. Listen to this little back and forth, and I'm not going to play you Rand Paul's very long 1-minute setup and then Markwayne Mullins' very long 90-second rebuttal to that. So it's going to be about 2 minutes here. But listen to how sort of contentious and touchy and sensitive these grown men can get.
Recently, Senator Mullen, you were confronted by constituents that were angry because you voted against my amendment to stop all funding for refugee welfare programs. Instead of explaining your vote to continue these welfare programs for refugees, you decided to transfer the blame. You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted. I was shocked that you would justify and celebrate this violent assault that caused me so much pain and my family so much pain. I just wonder if someone who applauds violence against their political opponents is the right person to lead an agency that has struggled to accept limits to the proper use of force. You have never had the courage to look me in the eye and tell me that the assault was justified. So today you'll have your chance. Today I'll give you that chance to clear the record. Tell it to my face. If that's what you believe, tell it to me today. Tell the world why you believe I deserve to be assaulted from behind, have 6 ribs broken and a damaged lung. Tell me to my face why you think I deserved it. And while you're at it, explain to the American public why they should trust a man with anger issues to set the proper example for ICE and Border Patrol agents.
I think before I can start my opening statement, I have to address the remarks that the chairman made, calling me a liar. Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point. And if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face. If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because of the remarks that I made. You were in a room. I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms, the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't. I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that. But if I do have something to say, everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back. So for you to say I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma.
Ooh, they're going to get in a fight. They're going to meet 3:30 behind the cafeteria. You know that because there's the dumpster where the cafeteria and the gym meet. And if you get behind that, they're not going to see you except for the crowd screaming. You can get off a pretty good fight there before it gets broken up. They're going to fight. You forget that these guys, you assume, hey, well, he's a Republican, they must get along. No, not necessarily. All right, so now that was an absolutely worthless piece of news. It was just fun. Here's a piece of news that actually is affecting, if not you, some of your neighbors here in North Texas. The travel at airports still having problems because of the government shutdown.
All right, we want to take a live look at DFW Airport and Dallas Love Field this morning. Those airports dealing with normal spring break travel, where security screening wait times on Tuesday range between a little over 30 minutes to as short as 2 minutes. That's not the case at other airports, though, where the TSA worker shortage is hitting harder because of the partial government shutdown. More TSA officers continue to call out sick because they haven't been, they've been working without full pay since it lapsed on February 14th due to that shutdown. The most impacted airports: New Orleans, Atlanta, Houston, Hobby, and New York. Philadelphia's airport forced to close checkpoints because low staff, and some smaller airports may close if some workers call out there too. Lawmakers are at odds over funding the Homeland Security Department right now, and that's what's the hangup.
Well, then privatize the TSA. This will never happen again. Privatize air traffic controllers. This will never happen again. Your travel plans won't hang in the balance on whether or not the Democrats and Republicans are getting along in D.C. How many times do you have to run into this brick wall before you come up with the real solution? The real solution isn't to, well, I guess we have to fund the government, or if we have to end the government shutdown. The real solution is we have to end government control of the TSA and air traffic control. Then we never have to worry about it again. Then you're not going to be late coming home from spring break just because some goobers in D.C. are playing political games. How long is it going to take to learn this lesson? Very frustrating to watch from the outside. Coming up next, we're going to have one of our foreign experts here. He is another retired veteran, Darren Gaub, also author of Veritas Vincent. He went from piloting Black Hawk helicopters to military activism and writing a book. But we'll ask him what's going on with Iran, and you're going to hear the answer to one important question. How many Ayatollahs are left? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So here's a question. How many Ayatollahs could possibly be left? I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley Van Camp and Robbins. My next guest coming back on The James Show, Darren Gobb. He came off of piloting Black Hawk helicopters to come back and tell you about his take on the Iranian war. First off, let's start with that first question, Darren. How many Ayatollahs could possibly be left? Like, if this guy ends up dying, is there another one ready to step up? Does he have like an eldest son that would just slide over and take the seat? Well, what do you think about the Sorry about the interruption there. What do you think about the rumors that this latest Ayatollah is already dead? Well, I've always been amused by the guys that send other people to their deaths, but they ended up dying of natural causes. Like Yasser Arafat, he never put on a suicide vest, but he sure did send a lot of other people's sons and daughters out there to do that. Well, Darren Gobb, tell me about this latest round of bombings. We were shelling them last night. How much work could there be left undone? Well, let's focus on the Hormuz Straits. How long is that going to be a problem? Because even if they are laying out mines or they have the little unmanned boats or drones that they're using, there's a finite supply of that. And if we keep taking it out, shouldn't this Hormuz Strait thing kind of fix itself on a long enough timescale? We're talking with former Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb. He's a retired combat veteran, now author of Veritas Vincent. And look, when one thing I'm missing right now is what's going on in Iran itself. I'm not seeing any pictures of the streets or the cities. I don't know how much of it's been destroyed. I don't know what Tehran looks like. I don't know if there's a whole lot of protesters in the street who are calling for the overthrow. I don't know if any of that's happening. Do you have any insight on that, Darren? How close are we to putting American robots on the ground? Because, they have like the little Tesla robots or the iRobots. And I was just thinking, you're a Black Hawk pilot. How long before those are just flying by themselves without a human being in them? All right. Well, those robot dogs look scary as hell. Darren, are you still generally speaking the outcome of this overseas intervention? Yeah. I hear you. That's a lot of people's hesitation. This is Darren Gobb. You can find his book, Veritas Vincent, A Soldier's Perspective on Truth, Faith, Family, and Freedom at darrengaub.com, DARINGAUB.com. Coming up next, Cesar Chavez, the, union, migrant, farm worker, activist guy. Was he a bad guy? Was he a rapist? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So it turns out Cesar Chavez might have been a bit of a predator. I'm James Parker. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I do not delight in bringing you this nastiness. It could have been gone just fine without hearing about this today. This is from ABC 7 up in New York.
We have breaking news now. Civil rights leader Dolores Huerta says she was sexually assaulted and raped by Cesar Chavez 60 years ago. In a statement, she said she never previously discussed this because she was worried about how it would hurt the farm worker movement. However, after a New York Times investigation that just came out says Huerta said she could no longer stay silent. Huerta says the sexual assaults led to 2 pregnancies and 2 children she gave up for adoption. In her statement, Huerta said, in part, quote, "For the last 60 years, I have kept a secret because I believed that exposing the truth would hurt the farm worker movement. I can no longer stay silent and must share my own experiences," end quote.
All right, you want to hear something awful? The real story's way worse than that. Just way worse. Way worse. I read the New York Times article. I know, I'm not supposed to do anything New York related. New York City! I know, get a rope. But I read the article. Dude, that's like 20 paragraphs down in the article, the whole Dolores Huerta part. It starts off, the New York Times article, with a 12-year-old walking into his office. She was summoned. She went past the secretary into the office. He shut the door. He locked the door. Actually, I'm sorry. She was 13 when this story was recounted. He was 45 at the time. Took her over to a yoga mat. Did some things I can't describe on the radio. Plus, I don't want to because kids might be in the car. But it's every bit as bad as you think. And it's not a one-off. There's also another girl that was talked about in this exact same article. Miss Rojas said that she was sexually abused by Cesar Chavez for years. So there were a couple of girls who say that when they were 12 and 13, Cesar Chavez got them alone, took advantage, and completed. It was more than just heavy petting. You don't have to read the article. You know what I'm talking about. It's gross. I don't even like to think about it. But then the article gets down to this other woman that was quoted there, Dolores Huerta. Apparently, she's a known activist as well. She says she was raped by him twice. Now, one of them sounds like a sure enough rape. The other one sounds like she said he pressured her heavily while they were in a motel during one of their 1,000-mile marches or whatever. But she also ended up staying right next to him in his vicinity, working with him in the movement. Not only did she not go tell the cops or tell anybody about it, she ended up marrying his brother. So that's weird. So I am, I'm not being dismissive there of the fact that he raped her a couple times and she had pregnancies that she had to terminate or give up for adoption. But I'm more worried about the kids. How did the kid stuff get overlooked in the TV article? Because I heard about the sexual assaults. I'm like, well, that's pretty bad. But I don't know. In the land of Me Too, is this a for real Harvey Weinstein situation? Or is this a fantasy Brett Kavanaugh situation where there's no corroborating evidence? There's not the full story. We don't know when, where, how it happened. There's no witnesses. You didn't tell anybody about it. No, they go through this one and they've done the follow-up confirmation interviews with people that these girls have confided in over the last few decades that confirm that, like, yeah, after this happened, she came to us. Also in the New York Times article, this is really gross. There's a letter that one of the girls wrote to him a year after the abuse started. In January 1974, when Rojas was 13, she wrote him a letter. And if you read it now, knowing what you know, throw up. Makes you just want to barf all over the place. So, yeah, it turns out this guy that you were told is a great fellow who did great things. He may have been a guy who did great things and accomplished a lot for the Latino community or workers' rights or farmers' rights or whatever the heck his cause was. But behind closed doors, this was not a good guy. If all this is true, if half of this is true, gross. What the hell's going on? You know, there's a lot of this stuff that gets swept under the rug. And it kind of makes you wonder what's getting swept under the rug now. Who is the Cesar Chavez right now that's getting away with it? Can we stop this? I don't want to have to hear about this, about whoever we like now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. People are going to come out. Are we going to have stories like that about Charlie Kirk or something? So now we're in a weird situation to where it looks like this is true. It looks like it's been backed up, corroborated. And I mean, this guy's not going after, you know, this isn't an adultery situation. This is a pedophile situation. And this is a serial predator on children situation, which brings up two questions. Number one, can you believe all these people stayed silent this long because their movement, their cause, their politics was more important than the exploitation and abuse of 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls? The hell's wrong with you people? If you are holding a secret on behalf of somebody else just because they are part of your movement or part of your crowd, or you think that wouldn't be good for, I don't know, your politics, your political party, your church, your ideology, your gun club, or your whatever it is, just say it anyway. Be braver than these people. That really bothers me. People have really elevated their politics into their religion, haven't they? Because for me, I don't care what you did. You're abusing 12, 13-year-old girls? Oh, I'm turning you in. Don't come confide in me and act like I'm going to let it go. So now the second part is, do we have to go change the names of all these streets now? Because there's Cesar Chavez Street all over the place in America. There's one, not two, there's one walking distance from here. Do we have to go change the name of this street? This is a really gross thing. How many guys are doing this? How many guys are getting away with this? I don't get it. I really don't get it. That's something that I thought we all agree, that abusing children is something horrific, especially sexually. It's not like he's, you know, just telling them mean things. Oh, you're fat. No, he's sexually abusing kids. We sweep that under the rug for politics in America? I really thought we were better than that. So now I'm not just disappointed in Cesar Chavez for being a serial predator. I'm really disappointed in how politically polarized people can become. And it makes them willing to sweep such deep evil under the rug for fear that it might hurt your politics. Get a hold of yourself, people. Politics is not that important. It's not more important than the abuse of children. And apparently, that's not a unanimous consent. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Yeah, it's kind of unsettling to find out that one of your cultural icons may have been a sexual predator, child predator. James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And if they didn't talk about it today, they're definitely going to talk about this tomorrow. But article from the New York Times, some follow-up work has been done by other outlets, and it's being confirmed over and over and over again. These stories were known in some circles and then hidden for decades. It sounds like for 50 years. But also, the more you read through some of the articles on this, there were Facebook groups that were private where these girls were trying to tell their story and say, hey, can we stop with all the marches? That guy abused me for 5 years in a row when I was a teenager, and it's been covered up over and over and over again. And that bothers me almost as much as the original abuse. There's the willingness for not just a handful of people in his close orbit, but now we're talking about dozens and dozens of people have known about this. And you're not hearing about it until 2026. And that means for so many people, their politics is more important than abused children. That's what bothers you about this. Carol in Carrollton, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say was, you're absolutely right. Their politics does overshadow and override whatever else they're thinking. All you have to do, there's a story going around. It's called Epstein. Have you seen anybody have any charges brought against them?
Yeah, that's a huge problem too, and that's kind of what bothers us about the Epstein situation too. Is there's got to be a lot of people who know something and they're not saying anything. The one thing. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, and they're all elected officials. They know this because the files are out and they're all in them. That's the problem with it. They're all in them.
Well, they're not all in them, but enough of them are in there that I think if we actually got the skinny on who was doing the bad stuff, it would take down people on both sides of the aisle. And if not, Biden would have released it or Trump would have released it without all this rigmarole and fanfare. But you know both of the houses of our political parties are going to get burned to the ground if we ever get the truth about this Epstein file. And I don't care. I want it to come out anyway. I don't care about y'all's politics, people. I don't care about your political parties. I don't care about Team Red. I don't care about Team Blue. I don't care about any of that if it's going to get in the way of Cesar Chavez just date raping a blue streak all through the 70s and 80s, or whoever's getting away with what they got away with on Epstein Island. We can't just ask Ghislaine Maxwell right now, name some names. We can't. And the survivors, why aren't they naming names? So
exactly,
what's your answer to that? Make it not a rhetorical question. Why aren't the survivors naming names? They said last year, if we don't release the Epstein files, they're going to start naming names, and I'm ready for that to happen.
Well, I believe Thomas Massey did name some names, and they put them out there. And still, we have Pam Bondi, who's done nothing. He named names,
and
he put them out there. And we still have nothing. So, yes, it's on both sides. That's what I meant when I said they're all in on it.
Yeah.
Both sides. It doesn't matter
Agreed.
which political party.
No, we understood it when you said it the first time. We feel you. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah. That's Carol and Carrollton.
All right.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, the next Parker's Pours is tomorrow. I am doing a live show from the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. They have the lobby bar called Whiskey and Rye, and I'm going to be set up over by the front windows. I'm going to do a live show from 2 to 5. And then afterwards, we're going to do 2 rounds of trivia, one at 5:30, one at 6:30. And I can have it all wrapped up by 7. I won't take up that much of your time. But we can hang out afterwards if you want to hang out too. So come on out to the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. You don't have to bring anything. There's not a cover charge. Trivia doesn't cost anything. You can come, say hi, take some pictures, judge me based on my appearance. But also just remember the Omni Fort Worth Hotel when you're in downtown Fort Worth and you got a minute to kill or you need to meet somebody, or it's a great place to hang out because unlike most of the bars where I do remotes or events or meet and greets or whatever, you can actually take your kids to this one. So if maybe some of your kids are out for spring break, my kids were out for spring break last week. I don't know if we have the same calendar and Bug Tussle as everywhere else, but come on out, say hi, and you can actually bring your kids to this one too. It's right downtown. It's in that cool building with the sharp edges and the cool balconies. It sort of looks like a spaceship when the sun's setting, right across from the Fort Worth Convention Center. And if you don't know where it's at, ask your phone. Your phone knows. But I'm going to be there from about 1 o'clock, 1:30-ish, because I got a lunch before that, until at least 7. The earliest I'm going to leave is 7. It'll probably be a little bit after that. And if you see me talking to other people, don't think it's weird if you just come up and say, hey, I just wanted to say hi. I don't care if you're interrupting. It's the most normal thing in the world. I'm glad if you're going to take the time to come out, you better talk to me and say hi. Because there was a table that was playing trivia last time, and it was these 3 girls. I say girls. They're in their 30s. It was what it looked like. And I didn't know that they even know who the show was. I thought they were just playing trivia because they were at the bar and wanted to have a good time. And when they were leaving, I was like, hey, I have a radio show. You should listen to it sometimes. They're like, we know. So why didn't you say anything? So come on out, say hi. I'm not just saying this. I really am a people person. I'm an extrovert. I love meeting people, and I would love it if you would come out to the Parker's Pours. Now, I understand if you already had something planned and you can't make it, but we're doing this at the Whiskey and Rye every third Thursday of the month. So we'll be doing it again in April. Also, your spring break headquarters is Moody Gardens on Galveston Island. You can take the ropes course, zip line, championship golf, newly renovated hotel. If you want to try and win a trip from us, text the word gardens to 800-288-9227. That'll get you a chance to win tickets and, not just a hotel stay, a round of golf to go with it. For the rest of you, go to moodygardens.org for more information. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. Mark Levin's coming up next on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.